It is December 2024. I'm Chris, and this is the future of photography.
The future of photography.
Hi, Adrian.
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm all right, actually. You know, the festive season is approaching. So I'm looking forward to a bit of a break, and it's good time to reflect.
We lost Jeremiah. He's busy with famous people somewhere on this
Yes,
planet.
well, you know, sometimes famous people have to get together to be famous
That's
together,
true.
don't they? So, you know, it's a thing
Yeah.
Jeremiah has to do. He has to take one for the team every now and again.
There we go. So this is our official holiday episode. It's going to be aired right before Christmas, and we don't have a schedule for anything beyond that. So I don't know if we'll have one the week after Christmas or not. We'll figure it out.
It'll be it'll be a surprise to all of us.
Yeah. So this would typically be kind of I'd say a year in review kind of episode, like looking back over what fun photo gear we bought or things like that. But I thought it would be nice if we do something that we don't do that often here, and that is looking at pictures.
Yeah.
So
Who knew you could look at pictures on a photography podcast?
Yeah, so this is a video episode because we will look at pictures, talk about them. We both went through our year of photography and picked out a few each, and we just want to have a look at them and talk about them, tell the stories behind them, just the things you do with photos.
Yeah, absolutely. Turns out, actually, I've taken rather a lot of dog photos this year.
Yeah. Why is that?
Why is that? Well, you know, what with having achieved one of my lifetime desires of actually having a pet dog this year. So I've always wanted a dog, never had the lifestyle it could happen with until now. And even now it's been quite hard at times having a puppy. It's like having young children again, but it's getting easy. It's getting easier. She's now 10 months old. So I've tried to. I have included a couple of dog photos, but I've tried to make sure that there's a spread in my photos. But there are a lot of dog photos this year.
See, the thing is, when I went through my photos, I have two kinds of photos. The ones are just me wanting to remember something because the situation was nice, because of the people involved, and another one might be a specifically artsy kind of photo that I took a lot of effort in getting right, and the ideal case is if that both kind of combines. If you take a photo and it's nicely composed, but it is something from a certain situation. So mine are a weird mix. A total mix. There's no rhyme or reason in my photos. Just that I picked them straight from the gut. I went through and said, this. And they are almost all connected to some specific situation. So let's just start. Let's just bring them up. And this is technically not a photo from 2024. It's let me take those snowflakes away because they are overlaying the photo.
They're obscuring part of your photograph.
There we go.
That's better.
So this is technically not a 2024 photo. It's December the 31st, and that's what we had. We had flooding here early last year. It looked the same the day after, so it doesn't really make a big difference. But
it's all right. We'll let you off.
But the area had some severe flooding. We're talking what you see here, what looks like a lake, is normally not a lake at all. There's a river, but it's hidden behind trees, and there's walkways and fields and things, and everything was gone. And that was a very surreal experience because we didn't have that for years. And so we went out, put on our wellies, and took photos. So
it's an interesting photo. It's because you've got you've got the path leading into the shot, great,
Yes.
and you've got the wide expanse of water where there probably shouldn't be any water,
Yes.
and then the path disappears literally into the water, and yet there is still a barrier and still a sign, and are they lights on top of the barrier?
Possibly because there's usually bicycles around, and you
okay.
might be in the dark. You might not see that there's water. And then Monica went back there and took photos. Again, we had wellies on, so you could wade into the water for a bit, and that is the result. A person in the water behind a barrier and a sign.
I like it. It's good. Yeah, it's good, and it's more than just a record of the event. That there's clearly some thought that's gone into it. So
that was the idea. So let's move on to one of yours.
Okay, so this one I chose. It was the first photo of the year that I had favorited in my collection, and it sets the theme actually, because most of the I found I've been working at a very graphical level with light this year. Is what I've found when I'm not taking photos of dogs, of course. So this is actually 2 bananas. I don't know if you had been able to recognise it before.
Yes. I've had bananas
okay.
before.
Well,
but they're very reduced. There's not much.
Thanks for that. Yeah, but no, it was because the reason I asked is because it took me a while. I was like, "What's that off? That looks interesting," and I actually had to think. To think for a moment. And that's that. So yes, very sort of.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, it's very very sort of. Just the highlights. The rest of it, pushed into black, and it's just some sort of graphical shapes. The abstract of a banana or two.
It's a good testament to how little information we need to recognize what's on a photo because of the millions of patterns we have in our brains. The matching is strong with us.
Yes.
And fruit, of course, a still life is traditionally done with fruit. The old painters.
That is true. I suspect, because I know where we keep the bananas in our house, I know exactly what part of the kitchen that this was in. And sometimes the light comes in at a window, at the other end of the room, and it just shines across at certain times a day. This is one of those ones that spotting something. I think keeping your eyes open and spotting stuff. Yeah, I don't suppose I was looking particularly for abstract photography. I was probably looking for the milk in the fridge next to the bananas or something like that.
And I think that's one of the major things that photographers need to learn is to spot these kind of things, because that's an everyday object and it probably didn't exactly look like that when you stood next to it. So being able to spot it and then being able to make that into something that is special.
Yes.
So,
yes.
Next one.
Oh, okay. Concert. What have we got here?
We have Jacob Collier on stage, and it's just a few weeks ago. Monica and I went to see him in concert in Hamburg, and I'm such a fan of stage light. This is the light situation. Of course, the situation itself, of course, was great, was fun, but we're looking at volumetric light, which means they have some haze in the air that the light will then show up in, and this one cone of light, backlight, just gives you can see the light, the rim light on him. And the color of it being blue and the orange lights on stage. It's kind of a story in itself, It's a nice light color contrast. It's a nice guided light, a very, a spotlight, and it grazes a few people in the audience. So, it's just one of these situations that was perfect, and it's been taken with a smartphone because I didn't bring a big camera. You couldn't bring a big camera in there.
No, they don't let you do those sorts of things these days. I really like this for all the reasons you just said, and it just feels like a still from a movie in some ways. You know, it's like it's it has that feel about it.
Yeah, and he's solo alone on stage at this point. There might be someone back there in the dark, but so everything is concentrated on him, and I enjoyed that a lot. And the photo, I'm happy about this.
Cool.
Next one.
No, this one is your fault, I think. Or is it? It might have been Jeremiah's. One of you two, anyway. Partway through the year, found a phone app that will take XPan aspect ratio photos. So I lost a week or 2 or 3 to the app. I think is it X4
XP4N. The A is the 4. It does that. It does that almost like CinemaScope crop on your photos, and then throws a bit of a filter on. I think you have a choice of a few there.
Yeah,
and it changes the way you look at photography. So I can totally. The same thing happened to me. I can totally relate to that. Yeah.
So it's great. I mean, it's wider than wide for me. I quite like a wide screen anyway. I think we talked about this app at the time. And I often will go for something sort of 2.2, 2.35, 239, something like that. But the XPan is near a 3-to-1, isn't it? It's like 2.8 or something like that. So I was like, oh wow, it was quite a challenge as well. But it was good fun. The shot is just me out for a walk. As you can tell, there's a light on in the house. It's sort of dusk, although the camera has possibly slightly overexposed it. And it's got one of those filters on because I was playing, and I just saw this, was going through the photos today. I just saw this. I thought, definitely got to pick one that I took with that app, because I did get a lot of fun, and I still am actually. It's still on my phone right now, and still press that icon to get a camera up instead of another icon to get a camera up sometimes. So it's good fun. Good fun.
Fun toy. So anyone go back to the episode we talked about that, because it's worth playing with it. This one is one I took on a Sunday walk. Monica and I typically do a little hike on Sundays, and that was a very foggy kind of day, and we like hiking in forests, and there's plenty of those around. So this is one we hadn't been to before, and I completely fell in love with the light and with what the fog or the mist did to the forest. Because normally what you end up with forests is you have just a whole bunch of trees that are visually in each other's way. It's really hard in a photo to show in a forest photo to show depth.
Yes, and to achieve the separation is really hard as well, isn't it? Usually, yeah.
And what fog does is it does that. It separates things. It gives you depth because it nicely desaturates the background, and even in the tree itself, you see the depth because of the fog, and then of course this bench there being kind of a focal point. Grabbing all the attention. I'm really happy with this photo. Was one of like 2 or 3 that I took there, and that one, I was debating if I should have Monica sit on the bench, but it felt much more alone without someone on there, and the fog kind of emphasizes that as well.
So I agree with everything you said about that. That was the first thing I noticed was the light when I flicked through this one earlier, and then the composition with the bench, and that is nice. But the light and the fog and just the fading away into the background just jumped out at me again. You've got great lighting. Great, you've captured here. It's fantastic.
One thing that is kind of difficult with treescapes is when the sky pokes through, that you have a lot of bright light in these points that end up being a bit of a harsh kind of thing for the camera to deal with. And what the fog did here too is it brought up the background closer to what the sky was in terms of brightness, and that worked well together. So the next ones of you, you sent me this and asked me to display this as a triptych because they belong together. These 3 orange ones here. I don't think preview can do this, but I think I can make the preview side bigger, and that puts the 3 of them together on the screen.
Right.
So
can you
left,
to do that? Can
left.
you drag that bottom one up to above at the top to be the top one, and then you'll have them in. There we go. That's the order. That's brilliant. That works really well, actually, doesn't it? Okay, so what's going on here? I think it was one of the episodes where you weren't with us. Jeremiah and I ended up talking about filters, and we'd both just got a new mist filters. So I thought, well, a mist filter is great for giving those halos around lights. So as I go out for a walk at night, then I'll pop that on my camera and head out for a walk. As it happens, we were walking to the local shop, and my son came with me. And so what we have here is 3 photos of I put on called Night Walk. Very simple, very simple title. The originals, as they were, as it were, are printed on Instax. They're actually on the wall right beside me here, but they are designed to go together as a set, and it tells a story for me. I don't know about you, but I love the idea of telling stories with photography. I do find it quite hard a lot of the time to do that in just one photo, but 2 can be really, in 3. It doesn't have to be lots. It doesn't have to be a whole photo essay, but I can definitely tell more of a story. So the top one here is in the street, walking along, deliberately, using the mist filter to get the halo from the street lamp. And I didn't realise it was good.
Sign is heart shaped.
Yeah, it is. I was just about to say, I didn't realise it until afterwards, but that house was for sale, and the sign there is a for sale sign.
It is heart shaped. I thought the light was doing it, or the filter.
No, it is actually heart shaped, which is unusual. Most for sale signs. I don't know if you do this in Germany, but in the UK, typically, when you put your house on the market to sell it, somebody will come round, and just thump a sign into the garden, and so it says for sale and it has the brand.
Sometimes we do that,
the agent on it, and this one was just one of those that happened to be heart shaped. And it just
draws the attention. I looked at it. It does draw the attention.
It completely blew out as a highlight, and so it made for an interesting feature of the shot. But as you can tell, the mist filter was working well because there's an enormous halo around that light. But what we were actually doing, as I said, was like walking to the shop. So the second one is taken. There's a footpath through a wood that we walk through to get to our local shop, and this one is just me walking Jasmine, my dog, and this is the view of like by torchlight, because it's pretty dark. There's no street lights in this area, and she's running along on the lead. So
very
this
dynamic.
Yeah, well, thank you. She does like to run along.
It's a dog walk panning shot.
It kind of is,
sort of,
but
a curved panning shot.
It's so panning in a sense, yes, but it's but not because I was deliberately panning. What's happening here is we're jogging along, the 2 of us. So me and the dog are relatively static compared to each other, and which is why the ground is blurry, and the dog not quite so blurry, although she was moving quite fast. And of course, in the dark, shooting by torchlight, it's you get what you're given, right? Off a camera. At that point,
of course.
Grateful you get a photo at all. And then the last one is a picture of the shop itself, and my son sticking his head around the door. I think he was asking me what kind of pizza I needed, or whether we needed any milk or something like that. So it was interesting afterwards because I got these out, and I thought these were deliberately taken for printing on Instax, right? But I thought it was going to be something very different. I thought it was going to be black and white, and I thought it was not going to be a story. It was going to be more just whatever photos I happened to like the look of to test the halation effect on the filter and stuff like that. But I ended up, when I come back, sometimes you look at the photos you come back with, you go, oh no, hang on, there's something different here that I didn't see before. And for some reason, streetlights in this country have never been this orange. And they certainly aren't now. They're all white.
The reduced color palette really ties everything together.
Well, thank you, because that's good of you to say so. Because Patrick there, bless him, was wearing a bright blue hoodie. It took me ages to find a way that I could do, and because he's part lit and part shadow, there was no way I could make a filter selection on just the colours on his hoodie and change. Because there were too many hood colours. So
I mean, the feeling of everything being under sodium lights gives it a bit of an apocalyptic feeling there, but yeah,
does a bit, yeah.
Which I like.
Given that it's Christmas, a nice warm Christmassy feeling.
Or that, yeah.
All right, it's a bit of a story, a bit of a ramble about how I took them, but I like photos that make a story.
I'm just by the way designing an exercise for one of the upcoming workshops next year, which is about storytelling in photos, because that is so important. And starting with 3 pictures to tell a story, and then the next iteration would be only 2 pictures allowed, and then you have to get everything into one photo. So it's a bit of an exercise in reduction and getting things more tight. But a triptych is a very, very, let's say, classical kind of way to display. You can even get triptych frames. Go to IKEA or somewhere, and they will happily sell them to you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fun.
Next one, not a very it's not a very special or artistic photo. It's a snapshot of some graffiti on a wall. But I put this in there because every German who's watching this right now, from a certain age bracket, will now have a song in their head.
Ah, okay. I did wonder what this was about.
It says 1, 2, Polizei, 1, 2, Polizei in German. And that was sometime in the late 80s or somewhere around that. Was a song that was everywhere on the radio. And it just shows that the content of a photo can be as emotion evoking as the photography itself. What's in there? It's a dog, it's a kid, it's your house, it's a person who's very special to you, or it's the lyrics, the beginning of the lyrics of a song that will just grab you if you have that reference in you.
What kind of music is it? It sounds like a punk rock song to me. Is it a punk song?
German new wave kind of thing.
Oh, okay.
It was a very weird time in German music. So
the 80s were weird for everybody, mate.
I'll find it and we'll put a link in the show notes. Remind me.
Cool.
Okay.
Excellent. Good stuff.
Here we go. Very dark.
Very dark, yes, because it's not lit by the sun.
It's the moonshine.
It's lit by the moon. Now, so this is one of these, as you say, as a evocative kind of things for me, because this evokes a memory. This is about a dog. This story is about a dog. I know this photograph is a story about a dog. It's got nothing. Obviously, there's no dog in it or anything like that. But the story here is that when she was a bit younger, Jasmine, our beloved cockapoo. She wasn't sleeping well, and so I quite often found myself up and in the garden at 5 a.m, 4 a.m, and what I hadn't appreciated, because typically I don't go out at that time of day in my garden, is just how bright the stars are. and how it was astonishing. I've got this one I chose is actually sort of taken of the moonlight coming in through the window, but there are lots of I've got other shots of the outside of the house lit by stars and the moon and stuff like that. It just reminds you of a period of time, where I was out in the very early hours of the morning looking at the stars. This would have been a full moon or near full moon night to get this bright, and
it completely fooled me. I thought it was a sun photo with just the exposure turned down.
Yeah. No, this is probably a 3-second exposure or something like that. On your phone, on a night mode.
Isn't it amazing what phones can do? It's
just astonishing, isn't it? It's just astonishing. So I included it because it reminds me of a period which thankfully is now over. I'm no longer getting up at 5 a.m, going out in the garden.
Good for you.
Which is good because I'm glad that period of the year was when it was warm, right? and not that period of Jasmine's development was when it was warm and not when it's cold and windy and horrible like it is today.
And it's another good example of we don't need much information in a photo to put together some location in our minds. So I like it.
Indeed, yes.
All right. Here's one from sometime in September, October. That was a photo walk, a meeting of some people around the Happy Shooting podcast, and it was just we were meeting, and we met in Kassel, which is somewhere in the middle of Germany, and we spent the weekend there and went to see some things. And this is a little castle that we're having a bit of a tour in, and of course you want to use that. And a bunch of photographers, like 10 photographers, of course everyone has a camera, and it ended up just being a fun little situation with one guy posing, another one like leaning backwards to take the photo, and very dynamic kind of situation. So again, just a little reminder of a nice situation that I really enjoyed.
Yeah, it looks like fun.
It was total fun, and that's kind of what I wanted to depict there. A cactus.
Yes. Again, I know I've said it already, but so many of the photos are very graphical. I've been aiming for this year. So again, this is another one where there's lots of negative space in the photo. So this is a cactus in a pot on a windowsill. This was in a holiday home we were staying in, what struck me with this as a shot was the ability to have the dark shadows on the inside edges of the cactus, and then have the sort of the highlights blown out completely through the window, and defining the shape of the cactus. I don't know what you call the different parts of a cactus as they all grow upwards, but the light as sort of backlighting those and giving them some shape and definition. And I was just looking at it and I was like, oh yeah, I really like the way that looks just now. How do I capture what I'm seeing? Because of course, there's a garden chair in the background that would have been white or blue or something, and then there's a hedge, and then there would have been some blue sky and a green cactus. I was like, how do I make this how do I make this image make sense? And of course the very, very contrasty black and white helps in that respect. And I just keep coming back to that these days. Very contrasty, more graphical thing is what I'm deliberately aiming to experiment with the graphics of photography, if that makes any sense at all.
It totally does. And this photo hits me because I have a very similar photo, and it's one of the first photos that I developed myself.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And then contact printed it from a 35mm negative. So I had a tiny little black and white backlit cactus photo. Again, 35mm in size.
Yeah.
And contact printed on the floor in a broom closet with the glass of a picture frame on top, like really, really with the light bulb at the ceiling. So really, just experimentation. It turned out really nice, and I had it up on my wall for like 20 years or something.
But like a tiny little
tiny
postage
little
stamp
miniature
size.
miniature
Cool.
photo, because it was one of the first ones. So I like that. I like that.
That's really cool. That's a good story you tell there.
Okay, another one of you.
Oh, there's another one of mine. Okay, so this is quite an amazing place, actually. This is Menorca, and on what I guess must be the west coast of Menorca, because it's a sunset shot. You can there's it cut into the caves. There's a bar, and it sort of staggers down the cliffside. So this is from inside a naturally occurring cave, which has been turned into a bar. I think at the night times it's a nightclub as well. And this was so lovely hot, lovely warm evening. This is when I went to Menorca in October, and just looking out across the sea to the sunset. I wanted to try and capture. I've got loads of photos from this place, as you can imagine, because it's quite an interesting place photographically. But I wanted to try and capture the spirit of what was happening. So I've got lots and lots of cave ceiling in the shot, with the sunset framed through the exit, the entrance to the cave, and a whole bunch of people milling around, several of them taking photos. If you were to zoom in, I don't know if it'll work on the YouTube video, but on the horizon there is Mallorca. So what happens is that it probably hasn't come out on the resolution for this, but the sun was setting, over there is the island of. You can just see it. Just see it on this resolution. That's the island of Mallorca, because Menorca and Mallorca are very close together. Menorca being the small island and Mallorca being the big island. And so, it was really cool. I've just never been anywhere like that. I've been in caves before. I've been in bars before. Don't think I've ever been in a bar that is in a cave before. But
strange combination. It's you know what I really like about it, and photographically like about it, is that we're seeing mostly silhouettes of people, but they are really nicely separated because of the backlight. So everyone has that little bit of hairlight around them, which makes it very, very interesting for me.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. It's good. Yeah, it's a great place. If you're ever in Mallorca, go to this place because it's just astonishing.
So let me bring up one of mine here.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, Easter 2024. Here in Germany, I'm not sure what you guys do, but in Germany, especially on the countryside, you would have an Easter fire, something to say goodbye to winter, and they would cut their shrubberies, their hedges, their trees and so on in fall, and then put everything on big heaps and then carry everything together, and then people meet up, and it's almost like a bit of a gathering, and maybe have a beer together and burn a big pile of wood out in the fields. So old German tradition. And as we live in a village here, it's up once in a year. And of course, the local fire brigade is in charge of making the fire and making sure that it doesn't burn anything. So you'll have uniformed people out there just with pitchforks and rakes and things and keeping everything together. We're talking sometimes fires the size of a school bus.
Okay,
so
big
they're
stuff.
not small. They're not small. And I took some pictures, and this one ended up being one of those iPhone photos that was a live photo, and then I switched it to long exposure, which I thought would make a nice, interesting, smooth fire. But then it ended up getting the two people on there very shaky. But it ended up being more dramatic this way. It felt a bit more like something dramatic, as something exciting is happening.
It's a very dramatic photo. Yeah, I mean, I was intrigued as to how you'd made it actually, because I did notice as a sort of the blurring of the people. But yeah, and it's one of those ones again. It draws you in because you look at it and you think, I'm not sure what that is.
Could be an accident.
Better
a
look
burning
at,
car, something like that.
Yeah, better look at it a bit more. What's going on here? And so definitely it was a photo that caught my eye, and more than caught my eye, it sort of stopped me, and I had to look at it some. And I always like it when photos do that.
It's an example of the photo not revealing itself right away. So
exactly,
or leaving
that,
things to the imagination of the viewer.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, the story that goes with it is great as well. There's something about a community of people getting together around a massive, great open fire, isn't there? And
there is something about fire in general.
We do that in November in this country, of course, because we have Guy Fawkes Night, where we I don't know, celebrating is the right word, but we remember the time a fella tried to blow up the king in the Houses of Parliament, and we remember him by building big bonfires and throwing effigies of him on the fire to burn, and that's
never been there in person, but I've seen videos about it. Yes,
yeah, and again, if you get the big community ones, often run by charities, but yeah, with fire brigade staff there to make sure it all goes wrong. Some of them, are, like you say, enormous, right? Like you've said about yours. So, but and lots of people do it. People have fireworks that night as well. So, fireworks and bonfires in their gardens, or there's big, sort of municipal ones that get organised, and everything in between, really. So, yeah, fire is a good one for photography as well.
It is. Okay, let me try to figure out what I'm looking at here. This is a very confusing picture. I'm seeing some people on the top walking on a. Looks like a glass floor, and then you're up on a is that what bridge in London is that?
Very good work. That is Tower Bridge.
That's Tower Bridge. Okay,
that is the one that everybody knows, right? And
they have a glass floor in there.
They do. So if you can picture Tower Bridge, which I know is possibly easier for some people that know it better, there's kind of two levels. There's the road level, which has the bridge that opens upwards. The two halves open upwards to let the big ships come through. But there are actually bars that go across the top, or elements that go across the top as well. And originally the idea was that people would walk, pay a penny to walk across. You could still cross the river by walking across the upper level, even when the lower level was open to let ships through. I don't think it ever really took off. I think it was deemed to be too expensive.
Who wants to climb up all that way instead of waiting for 10 minutes?
There's quite a lot of stairs as well, and there's no elevators in there. So if you were doing this, you would have had to make it an effort. These days, it's part of what they call the Tower Bridge experience, where it's set up as a museum in the two towers themselves, and in the walkways across the top where they have glass floors. You can even go. All the motors are electric these days, but you can even go down into underneath the road level, where you can go and see all the old steam engines, because it was originally steam powered when it was built, and so you've got these big steam engines in underground rooms and tunnels that used to power the bridge. Fascinating place, and this is a shot just through the glass.
It's amazing.
I was trying to go for some kind of mirroring effect from the glass, which you do get. You're going to get a bit of mirroring of the people, but just the idea of people walking along on top of the sky, basically. It came out much nicer, but much better than I thought as well. So I was quite happy with this shot.
Layers, glass and reflections make layers, and that's a very good example of that. I brought you this one. So this is on an island in the North Sea, and normally the weather there is windy, and that was Monica and I. We tend to stay there for a couple of weeks a year, and went on a walk, and it was completely wind still. Nothing moved.
Oh, okay.
No noise, no wind, no nothing. You could kind of guess the water is kind of straight and flat, and reflective. And then this cloud front came up from behind. This one looks almost like a painting, but it's exactly what it looked like. This weird fuzzy cloud without like hard edges, very soft. There's no filter on it. The light was weirdly warm, and Monica and I, we couldn't believe it. We just could not believe what it looked like, what it sounded like, what it felt like. And then you see all these birds just on the water, just sitting there. An extremely surreal moment, and it was almost impossible to catch that in a photo. So it's probably more for me than for anyone else, this photo, because almost eerie. And it was only like that for a couple of hours, and then it went back to normal. So
interesting. Good story. I like the photo too. It looks like a photo that it doesn't look like necessarily like a straight out of camera photo.
No, look at the cloud. I mean, this is like from a weird, like almost like from a horror movie.
Yeah, it almost looks like a movie set, doesn't it? Where the fog rolls in, and but yeah, it's great. I think it's amazing when you can capture these things as you see them, right? I think and we just have. I mean, you were probably carrying a camera anyway that day, weren't you? But it's just amazing that we can do these things.
Yeah. So another night walk.
This one just again caught my eye. This is at the stables where Ellie, my daughter, rides, and again, another element of regular family life is standing outside the stables, because in the wintertime it gets dark so early. So you end up like standing out in the yard while the girls are on their ponies and horses in the school, in the indoor school, having their lessons, doing their jumps and whatever else they do. And again, this is just one. It caught my eye that it's a muddy track up to a gate. Two lights on the side of a barn or a stable or something like that, and just lighting it up. And I thought, you know what? I'm just going to take a quick snap of that.
I like what the camera is doing to the lights, the halos around the lights. How did these happen? Is that just some mist on the camera, on the lens, or
probably just pulled it out of my pocket and it was mucky? I don't know.
Possibly, but this adds a level of like, I don't know, mystery.
I think it's a phone shot. This one, I can probably just check very quickly. It's a hipstamatic shot. That's what it is. It's a hipstamatic shot.
Anyway, the lights, the halos around the lights look like very cool, very, very, very gritty, very dark.
And it just was interesting to me, the light and the dark.
Very cool. All right, here's one that goes together with the next one. What you see is like a flip chart with an upside down person projected on it, and it's also projected around inside that room. We are inside a camera Obscura, which a couple of participants on our May workshop, the Old Abbey workshop that I do every year. One of the participants had access to a big trailer, like one of those where you would, well, it's not a big trailer, but one of those where you would like sell food out of, something like that.
Yeah.
So, and that was that. I think that was originally a drink trailer or something, and it wasn't in use, but he had access to it, so he brought it with the express purpose to make it into a camera Obscura during that workshop, and they did. They ended up experimenting with different projection surfaces inside. So there's 2 people in there, composing the picture by moving the screen or the flip chart.
Okay, to get it shut into focus. Yeah. Okay,
no focus. Yeah. It was a pinhole, so I don't think that. I don't know what they did for the focusing, yeah. But and then they would actually put positive paper on there, so they would expose onto a large piece of photo paper, and we did the group shot on that workshop with this camera, with this big camera on wheels. That was just amazing, and that's what this workshop is about: is experimentation and trying out from the small to the big. And some of the repeat offenders come and bring stuff that is just way beyond what I would have expected. I didn't know about this up front, so he pulls up with
really
that trailer,
cool.
and it was really cool. And that second
what were the
picture
exposure
just,
times like on a positive paper in that
seconds.
sort of scenario?
Seconds.
Okay, so not too long.
Yeah. No, maybe 5 to 10 seconds or something. And then this is just our workshop room and the group doing some image review sessions. So around 30 people there. So, and we're doing it again next year. Mm-hmm. And of course,
know you always love that workshop. You always get excited every year just before you go off to do that workshop. So
we've been doing it for 15 years, and it's been just a wild ride of meeting a lot of people, of having a lot of people come back, return. So it's also a bit of a family meeting. It feels like a family meeting, and then being there and spending an entire week, like Monday through Saturday, with photography 24/7 almost. We live in the same building, we eat in the same building, we work in the same building, and nothing matters. There's hardly any reception there, so nothing matters.
Yeah, it's good. You're
away from everything. You spend those 5-6 days with photography.
It's great when you build something like that over time as well. I mean, I was thinking the other day, we've been doing this podcast for 7 years now.
True.
And and you look at it, it's great because not only is it enjoyable to do in the moment, right? Be it the podcast is enjoyable to do in the moment. I'm sure the Abbey workshop is amazing. If you ever decide to do an English language one, I definitely would be on that.
I did one in English years ago. I had 4 participants. So
okay.
There's a lot of travel involved there.
Yeah. So you have fun, and then you also have the benefit of you've built a whole thing over a period of time. In the Abbey workshop, you built your family of people around it and what have you, and in a podcast you build a body of work. So all great, all good,
all fun. Yeah. And then, last but not least, the last picture is, of course, a dog picture.
It's Jasmine again. Yeah. This is quite an old one.
Did you count them? Did you count the photos you took of her?
No, I haven't actually. We do have I have an album that I just so I can keep track of them. We have a shared family album in our little Apple family here, where we all, if any of us take any photos of her, we post them in there. This was
this one was a really nice one. I like this.
Thank you. Yeah, I think this one probably, obviously it's a fairly wide angle shot of her, and it's probably yes, it was taken with a lens I bought this year. So I know you said we don't do we're not doing a review of what lenses and kit we bought this year, but I did buy the Fujifilm 10-24 lens this year, which is a great it's a great lens for very wide but not too distorted, through to something that 24 being equivalent to 36 millimeters, I guess. So me playing with my wide angle lens, I'm probably shooting this about 2
and
inches from her
Jasmine
nose.
being just cool with you getting close to her with the camera.
Yes, she's just relaxing on the patio.
Nice, very nice.
Yeah.
Very nice. That little bit of catchlight in the right eye.
You do have to try hard with that, actually, because she is a black dog, or a mostly black dog, and it's quite hard to get detail. And I always end up shooting 2 stops overexposed, because you have to expose for the deep shadow. You have to shoot for the deep shadows, or expose for the deep shadow of the scene. Because she's black, so she's the deep shadow of the scene.
Put her in black surroundings and then just overexpose by a lot.
Yes, it can do that sometimes as well. Yeah, but I usually shoot 2 stops over, whatever the camera thinks the exposure should be. So I just got, which I mean, nothing very scientific. I just turned the exposure compensation to +2, and it usually comes out okay. But so it's not difficult to do. It's just it's an interesting compositional challenge when you have to expose correctly, effectively, the very darkest thing in the frame.
And not care about the rest, and that's
care about the rest.
Perfectly fine. Yeah, that's our own photos in 2024. That was cool. We should do this. We should do this more often.
We should do. Photos. Yeah, it's been fun actually. It's nice to have a quick look back at everything.
Of course,
and to share as well with each other.
Yeah, of course. Those who just listen to the podcast are going to hate us. So
yeah, sorry, folks.
But we have a couple of picks. And
we do have a couple of picks, yes.
Those are, okay. I did mention, I think last time I mentioned that I was working on a game.
You did mention it, actually, yes.
And it's this one. It's some listeners might know Connections, which is a little word game. Looks almost like it could be Wordle or something, but it's 16 words, and your job is to find 4 groupings, and there's only one solution. And so you select 4, you click submit, and then it tells you if it's right or not. And you can try as often as you like. It says 4 hearts, 4 lives down here, but you can go beyond that. After 4, it asks you, do you want to continue? And it's kind of interesting because it's hard to figure out the groups sometimes. What are the groups on this one? And I've made 2. This one is the easier one. The second link in the show notes is going to be the more difficult one, where I'd be surprised if a lot of people get this on the first try, because I tried with a few people and it was but it all makes sense. Once you have a group, it tells you what the grouping criterion is, why it's grouped, and then you'll very likely go, that's what it was. So enjoy. Links in the show notes. And
cool. I shall have to play with that then. Excellent.
Yep, let me know how it goes. Okay, and then you brought us
some photography.
Angie Wallace.
Yes, Angie Wallace. So yes, particularly her work. If you click up on the top left, there's submerged flower photography. Yes.
Oh, look at
so.
that.
She's shooting. I'm going to have to read it off the website to get it right, but just so bear with me. It says, I'm exploring the circle of life, death, and imperfect beauty through plants by attempting to capture the fleeting, transient moments in time of our life using the 4 elements: water, air, fire, and earth. So she's shooting flowers, sometimes in liquid, so it could be water, or with milk or paint, oils, etc. Sometimes
these traces of something moving there. Yeah.
There's all sorts of stuff she's got going on, and I think some of these ones we're looking at now, the flowers are submerged, and it's ink or paint or whatever drizzling down through the water, and But it just caught my eye, and I really liked them. You could see there's quite a few of them, and
it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, they're really nice to look at. Just nice to look at.
I'm trying to imagine the workshop she's shooting that in. There's a lot of buckets of things in there, and aquariums and things.
Yeah.
This is fun though. There's a lot of experimentation there. Wow.
Yeah, lots of good stuff.
I'm really enjoying this. Thanks for bringing that.
That's okay. It is one of those ones where you can forget you're actually recording a podcast and just let it go to.
So again, apologies for everyone who's just listening to this. This might be worth going back to and watching. At least if you're interested in our photography. And that was it for, at least before Christmas. There might be another episode in a week. But we haven't figured that out yet. or calendars.
We
might
need
be
to
a
see
bit
what time
busy.
people have. Definitely. It's
Exactly.
always fun to do one. So, yeah.
All right. So you can, of course, find us at thefuturephotography.com. You can join our Discord and chat with us and other listeners. Link is in the show notes, and all the videos are on YouTube, and our photos are the ones that we talked about today. You can look at them too. Link is in the show notes as well. All right. That was it. Everyone,
Excellent.
have great holidays, and we'll see you soon. Until
Yes.
then,
Happy
everyone,
holidays, everybody. Take care.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
You've been listening to The Future of Photography. Join the discussion on our Discord, find the show notes and all episodes at thefutureofphotography.com, and subscribe wherever you listen to audio.